Hey everybody. So my next case is one that kind of puzzled this family for probably about 6 years before they found DNA angels to help them. So this woman, she knew that her mom didn't know who her dad was. Her mom was raised by a single mom. She ended up getting married when the client's mom was probably in kindergarten age, but our client always knew that her mom never knew who her biological father was, and so they wanted to know that name. They wanted to know where they come from. Like, what ethnicity are they? Do they have any medical issues they need to know about? Who did their mom look like that now that they look like? What is their family history? Like, what is it? Where do they come from? So our client literally tested everybody. All of her siblings are tested. She had 2 aunts that had tested, and she had some grandchildren, and they're just a bunch of people. She ended up getting kids for probably 10 or 12 people in her family line. Like, she was determined to figure this out. She didn't know enough about DNA to get to the bottom of it, especially when you are working with DNA one generation removed, because mom had passed away in 2001. So there's no way to get the DNA from her because she's passed on. So the next best thing is the next oldest generation, which was her children. And so our client did the right thing. She tested herself and all of her siblings, and she didn't just test on one site. She's on all of them, every single site. She did the mtDNA because she was like, oh, I could do a Y-DNA, but if you're a female, you cannot do Y-DNA. The Y-DNA must come from a male relative, and it's best to test the oldest male relative for the Y-DNA, or the mtDNA, again, the oldest relative, but the Y-DNA must be male. When you're looking for more recent times, it doesn't really help with the Y-DNA or the mtDNA. If you're looking for your more ancient origins, where you come from like a couple hundred years back, it's great. I suggest it. But when you're trying to identify a birth parent or a biological grandparent or even a great-grandparent, I don't recommend a Y-DNA or mtDNA. Need to do autosomal, like from Ancestry or MyHeritage or 23andMe, Family Finder, any of those. Those are great. So anyway, she tested everybody, and she just knew that her mom was an NPE and wanted to identify her maternal grandfather. She wanted to know who he was. Where did they come from? So with this case, like I start with every case, is I look at the DNA, I look at the tree, and I also am going to sort those matches following that Dana Leeds method and try to isolate the mom's DNA. So once I got mom's side isolated, I want to split those in half to see who's related to the mom's mom and who's related to that mystery line, and I want to isolate that mystery line of DNA. So it was pretty easy, got it all isolated, and was able to start working those mystery matches into the tree to try to find a most recent common ancestor. Took me a minute, but I found it. So I was able to find out who the most recent common ancestor line is, and one of those sons that they had would probably be the biological father. They had like 16 kids, y'all. I was like, oh my goodness. And it was almost an even split of boys and girls. I don't remember the exact number, but there was a lot of boys and there was a lot of girls. So my next thing, how do I figure this out? If I'm up to a handful of boys, I don't know which one it's going to be. I start looking at ages. Is anybody too young to be a father? Is there any like 10, 12-year-olds that are mixed in with these boys when the client was conceived? I was able to eliminate 2 that way. Great. How do I keep going? How do I keep eliminating this further down instead of having, again, a handful of boys that could be the birth father? I want to try to give somebody that name, but I'm not always able to with what the DNA is available. So I keep on looking, and the next little trick in my tool bag is I'm going to see where the mother was born, and I want to see where grandma was living at the time of conception. Right around that time, where was she living? Is she living somewhere different than this family? And she was. And lucky for us, there was only one son that lived in the same town, same state at that, as the grandmother. So I was able to give them a name on a silver platter. It's like, here you go, and this is why, and provide all of my evidence. But I'm running out of time, but I will see you guys later. Don't forget to hit like and follow. Bye.